Hello, hello, welcome back. If my glasses look a little dark, it's because I was just outside. But now we are back for another writing tips video. Woo! This one was actually suggested kind of in a comment a little while ago, so I'm going to do my best to try and cover this topic. I'm sure there's stuff that I will miss, so feel free to ask more questions below or leave your own thoughts and advice below. Today's topic is, if you are a writer of fan fiction, how can you transition over into being a writer of original fiction? Like, say you write fan fiction, but you've always wanted to write your own novel. How do you get there? How do you make the jump? One of the things we are not going to do in this video is trash on fanfiction, alright? If you're heading to the comments already to be like, well, actually, you shouldn't write fanfiction, and if you're feeling superior because you write original fiction, this is not the channel for you. I have news for you. I write both. I write fanfiction and I write original fiction. So we are not going to be trash talking fanfiction here. Instead, we are going to be trying to give practical tips if you're wanting to move from fanfiction into original fiction. Do you have to? Absolutely not. If you're happy with just writing fanfic, you write your little heart out, man. Like, go to town. I don't care. It's great. Now, this will not be an exhaustive list, and as always, I like to say that I am not the god of writing, so there may be things that I miss or things that just simply do not work for you, and that's okay. These are just my tips. All right, all of those disclaimers out of the way. My goodness. Hey, Nigel is here. Wait for his tail. Oh, there it is. All right, Julian's advice for transitioning from fanfiction. So first of all, let's talk about what fanfiction offers us as authors and what original fiction offers us as authors. Because there's something to be said for fanfiction. It is not a useless art form. Fanfiction offers us an opportunity to practice a lot of skills, especially if you're looking to just like hone some skills and get better because you want to work on original fiction. It's not pointless to do fan fiction. Fan fiction lets you hone in on a skill you specifically want to work on. Like, let's say you want to work on characterization. You can write a fan fiction because you don't have to then worry about world building and stuff because somebody's already done the world building and stuff, and you can focus on the skill that you are trying to practice. Fan fiction is often fun and quick. It can be a way for you to practice anything from the sentence level to the story level. So I find that it is delightful and useful. Now, obviously, fan fiction is what you make of it, and if you're not using it to practice and are just having fun, that's allowed too. But one thing that fan fiction can give us as authors is an opportunity to practice. And also notice other things that other storytellers are doing, because you're taking something from someone else's storytelling and style, and you can notice what they're doing and perhaps learn how to do it yourself by like mimicking their style in a fan fiction. But what does original fiction offer us? Like, fan fiction is so fun and oftentimes easy, so why the heck would we write original fiction? Well, original fiction obviously allows you to do everything, and like that might be intimidating for some people, but for a lot of people that's pretty exciting. You are no longer beholden to anybody else's rules. You don't have to follow the rules of the world or stick to rigid character designs. You can do whatever you want. Plus, with original fiction, you get to publish it. Maybe. Not every single piece of original fiction should be published, but the opportunity is there. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's say that you are a fanfic writer and you're looking to transition yourself to original fiction. Where do you even start? Well, I think a key thing to start with is to figure out what draws you to fanfiction in the first place. What is your favorite thing about writing fanfiction, and can you take that thing over into original fiction? For example, let's say that your favorite thing about fanfiction is the characters, using somebody else's characters. Think about the type of characters that you gravitate towards. Can you write those characters yourself? Obviously, you're not stealing them. You're not going to just be like one-to-one, but you can write similar archetypes or arcs. Like, let's say a character has an emotional arc in a movie that you like. You can use a similar emotional arc because there's nothing new under the sun. Other people have used that emotional arc, and they will again in the future. So if that's something that you like, that character and that arc, you can bring elements of that over into your original story. Other things that you may like are the world. Let's say that you love the rich, complex world that you're writing fan fiction in. Could you use that as a jumping off point to create your own rich and complex world? Or the plots. Plots are often fairly universal, and you can definitely take elements from someone else's plot. Elements, do not steal someone else's plot, but you can definitely use elements, because again, nothing new under the sun, that you enjoy from your fan fiction in your original fiction. So whatever it is that you love in fan fiction, like really sit down, think about it. What draws me to fan fiction? What is the element that I love? How can I transition that into loving that element when I come up with it? Now, what are some common issues that I have seen many times when people are transitioning over from fan fiction? Because I have worked with writers who are doing that. Like this is their first non-fanfic project. And you can tell, and it's because these are some very common issues. The first one is that there's no plot. Because fan fiction can be fairly plotless. Fan fiction, a lot of the time, runs on vibes and emotions, and so it can be easy to forget that your original fiction needs a plot. If you're a little bit distressed about like, how do I do a plot? Definitely consider using a beat sheet or studying other works of fiction. Even, hey, look at the works of fiction that you like writing fanfic about and break them down and see how they do a plot. How do they structure an episode? How do they structure an entire season arc? How does that go? What are the beats? The next thing that a lot of people struggle with is they forget to characterize characters or describe characters. Because you can often be used to working with characters that are recognized by your reader, you get used to not having to put a lot of details in. This one I run into a lot, where the author just honestly forgets when you're doing a character from scratch. You have to describe. You have to characterize. We don't automatically know who this character is and how they would behave. You have to show us through their actions, through their dialogue, and yes, sometimes through telling as well. By the way, if you want some advice on when to show and when to tell, I have a video all about showing and telling here on this channel. Check it out. The character thing is the biggest issue that I run into when I'm working with people who are transitioning over from fan fiction. One way to practice this, even within your fan fiction, is to get used to describing characters that are well known. Like, there's nothing that says that you cannot describe Dean Winchester when you're writing a fic about him. There's nothing that says that you can't characterize him, even if it seems like this is stuff that everybody already knows. It can be good practice to work with a character that you're very familiar with, getting that characterization and description onto the page and practicing that and how much to do, how much is too much, all of that good stuff. And finally, another problem that people run into is world building and lore, because again, you're so used to using someone else's world building and lore that you kind of forget to do it yourself. And this can get very confusing for the reader because you are assuming that this world and lore and magic are obvious, when in fact, they are not. I think that's really a key to writing a lot of original fiction is don't assume that it's obvious to the reader. I would rather go overboard and have beta readers tell me I need to dial it back than like not do it at all and assume they're gonna pick it up. I understand not wanting to treat your readers like they're dumb, and it can be a really difficult calibration to get, especially when you're newer, but if you're coming off of fan fiction, I would definitely say err on the side of too much versus too little. And possibly you thinking it's too much will actually turn out to be the right amount when you're coming from writing fan fiction. So one thing that the commenter who sparked this video asked is, how do I stay excited about writing original fiction? I just keep losing steam when I try to write original fic. And I have a few tips that might be helpful, but if you have more tips, comment below and let me know, because I personally don't have a lot of trouble transitioning between the two. It's like they're in two different sections of my brain, and I can happily write fan fiction or go back to original fiction. These are my tips, but please let me know if you have others, especially if you write both fan fiction and original fiction. So my first tip for helping you stay excited is to figure out if you might be a different type of writer when you're writing something else. So for example, if you're a big old pantser when it comes to fanfic, it might turn out that you're a plotter when it comes to writing original work. And honestly, even though I am a pantser, plotting could help you out, because then you have that base to work from, which is what you're used to doing with fanfiction. Because fanfiction allows you that base. And perhaps if you try plotting, that base will be there for you. What are you doing, Nigel? Nige. Why are you being so adventurous tonight? Usually that's Giorgio's job. He's like, nah, I gotta get there. I gotta cause problems every now and then. He's an old man, but he's gotta cause problems every now and then. Whatever type of writing you've been doing in your fan fiction, try something else, because maybe you get words on the page in a different style when you're writing original fiction, and that's okay. Another thing that you might not have encountered before, but you will probably have to work on building skills with as you become an original fiction writer, is working on your pushing through skills. When you're writing fanfic, it is usually pretty relaxed and laid back. If you lose interest in a project, no big deal, you can stop writing it. You only write the parts that you're interested in. With a lot of fanfiction, fanfiction can be short and quick, and just you write the scenes that you care about and you move on. But with original fiction, that is not the case, and sometimes you're going to have to write scenes that you're just not excited about because they're necessary for the story. And this is where you are going to have to push through, and it's not going to feel beautiful and creative and flow like you're maybe used to it doing when you're writing fanfiction. I feel that this is a muscle that you can strengthen, and I've definitely strengthened it throughout my writing career. When I was younger, I was definitely one of those people who's like, I never write unless I'm inspired. But eventually, as I've gotten older, I can use my pushing through muscles to get through a scene that I'm not enjoying, to get to other scenes that I know I'm going to enjoy. Get through those necessary scenes to build the infrastructure to get to the scene that you're excited about. And it's gonna feel tough, and it's gonna feel super fucking awkward when you first start out. But because you're used to writing fan fiction, you're used to just always being excited about it, probably. So you may be butting up against those times when you're just not feeling it anymore and you don't have the strategies to push through. So that's just something to practice. Don't allow yourself to give up if things are getting tough. Write crappy scenes, write short scenes, and go back in and flesh them out later. Do whatever you need to do to get through that. Heck, even write out of order. I don't write out of order, but some people find it very successful. Whatever you need to do to get past that sticking point and keep pushing through with your original work. But another thing you can perhaps explore, especially if you're struggling to write a whole novel, is to write short fiction. Check out some original short stories, see what they're like, and maybe you can bring your fanfiction writing skills to bear in a short story.
Another strategy that I frequently use that's obviously not going to work for everybody, but I really like it, is when you write fan fiction, you get used to having pretty frequent feedback, usually positive feedback. So when you're writing a fanfic, you often post it chapter by chapter, and you get encouragement about writing more chapters from seeing people's reaction to the chapter that you just posted. And I'm one of those people who really likes to get encouragement while I'm writing and to have people's eyes on it while I'm writing. Now, one of the strategies for this is to get yourself a critique partner where you pass work back and forth as you're writing it. But even just getting an alpha reader, somebody whose only job is to read as you write so that they can offer you encouragement and keep you hyped about your project, is a great way to go. Another way, and the way that I do it, is to literally post as I go on a site like Wattpad. For all 3 of my Adventurer Mage books, I posted them one chapter at a time on Wattpad. And yes, I only had like 1 or 2 readers, but that's all it took to keep me encouraged. Every time I posted, I would be excited to see that comment from my one loyal reader, and that would keep me encouraged to keep going. So if you need some external encouragement, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up about that. You don't have to sit there writing in your solitude. No, if having other people reading your work and offering you encouragement is what helps keep you hyped, then seek that out.
All right, the final thing I wanted to talk about in this video, and I might make an entire video on, is can you file the serial numbers off? A fanfiction with the serial numbers filed off is kind of old person speak. I don't know how many people use this anymore, but people in my generation, that's what we call it when you write a fanfiction and then make it so it is an original fiction. Those are getting more and more popular nowadays. So if you've written the right type of fanfiction, you might be able to turn it into an original fiction. But that could be a whole video in and of itself, so if that's a video that you would like to see, comment below and let me know, because yes, I have indeed filed the serial numbers off of a fan fiction to try to publish it as an original work. Right now it's on the back burner, but I think it might make an appearance one day. Oh, also another little thing that I could mention is that there are certain things that you're just allowed to write fan fiction of. For example, my book Boots is a retelling of the original... Nigel, what are you doing? He's being so silly today. My book Boots is a retelling of the original fable of Puss in Boots, and it's a whole novel from that. Fairy tales are something that you are allowed to write fan fiction of. So consider doing that if that sparks your interest. Look up maybe some more obscure fables. Look up some weird stuff, especially from whatever culture you're from. Check out some of the fables and see if you might like to retell them as the type of fan fiction that we are quote-unquote allowed to write. Obviously also that qualifies for things in the public domain. So old stories that you could potentially rework. A lot of books that are just retellings of Pride and Prejudice out there. Retellings of Jane Eyre, a lot of that kind of thing. So you could potentially flex your fanfiction skills in that direction. But all right, that's enough for me today. And Nigel is just gone full crazy cat hours here. So we will see you again next time. Don't forget that you can support me over on Patreon, where your donations help me self-publish my own books. And hopefully my next novella, I will be doing a audiobook, thanks to my supporters over on Patreon. So definitely consider supporting me over there. Plus you get exclusive content not seen here on the regular channel. And of course, if you want to figure out if my tips are any good, you can check out my books available now on Amazon. And I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
Hey, I got my eye on you.
Water Tribe.
We're back again for more patrons. That's right, it's patron time. I've got my eye on you, patrons like Lac Nunga, Ruin, Queen of Oblivion, SB Boots, Martha Baggins, July, Bird Anonymous, Sunny Shy, Nico, Sarah, Cat, 78 kilograms of shade, Veda, Roma, Pansing Pony, Julius the Nice Dragon, Haley, Sam, Kira, Kohikaro, Mooney, Pudamancer, Kirsten, Bear, Jojo Bookish, Robin, Ursula, Caitlin, Jessica, KJ, LaFone, Amanda, Celia, Alyssa, Rita, Deborah, Afra, Melissa, Swamp Goblin Waifu, Ashley, Sophia, Maureen, Kit, Hidden Glade, Light Julie, Belle, Anne Sophie, Callison, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Rennie, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Sarah. Wow. Has anyone out there memorized my patrons? Who is saying them along with me at this point? That means that I've got so many loyal patrons who've been with me for such a long time, and you guys are the real GOAT out there. You rock. But today we also have a new patron to introduce. That's so exciting. Can you hear Nigel breathing directly on the mic? That new patron is Lac Nunga. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. They didn't have anything special that they wanted to shout out, but they did want me to shout out a different small AuthorTube creator. One that I enjoy personally. You've probably heard this name before, but please go check out Joey Paul over on her channel. She does great work, very bite-sized videos about being an author and being a disabled author. She has a ton of books out, so you can get to reading her work right away if you want to. Go check it out.